Good evening, folks. This is Deb and Dave, and this is your short take. And the working title, and Dave came up with this one by himself. A little more conversation, a little less action. And I'll let him explain what that means.
Well, that means it is the Republican answer to everything. All they do is talk and plan and make polls and pontificate and predict all that nonsense.
Don't forget, run oversight committees.
And oversight committees and create opinion articles in newspapers. I have quoted the Hill. I have used the Hill quite often, actually. And one thing that I don't care for in newspapers at this point are opinion pieces on the right, because the left actually, we use Jennifer Rubin all the time. She actually supports her opinions with facts. We have opinion writers on the right who just report opinions as opinions. One such is the three Democrats, not Biden or Harris, Republicans fear most in the POTUS race in 2024. That's what the actual title is: the three Democrats, not Biden or Harris, Republicans fear most in 2024. But they're talking about the presidential election, which means the Republicans don't think that Biden and Harris are a threat at all. They think they're going to lose to either Trump or DeSantis, whatever. The author of this opinion piece is Douglas McKinnon. He had security clearance back in the day. He also was a writer for both Ronald Reagan and G.H.W. Bush. So just so you know where we're going with this, I'm just going to quote a little bit of this just to show you where we're going. Over the last month, I have spoken with tens of highly experienced Republicans, asking them the same question: which Democrat would you most fear in the 2024 presidential election?
Only one.
Yeah, it's Biden.
RFK Jr. is a Republican.
Right. So there are three that he came up with: Gavin Newsom, Michelle Obama, and RFK Jr. Now, let's do it one by one. Gavin Newsom, he has formally endorsed Joe Biden. He is a force. I like Gavin Newsom, but he's endorsed Joe Biden. Gavin Newsom is not going to run. Barring something happening, Joe Biden is the presidential nominee.
But let me ask you this question. Could they be fearing him because of the impact he could have in the election? Because he can have an impact on the election.
He can and he will.
And he will.
Well, the second is Michelle Obama. Now, Michelle Obama also gave Biden a glowing endorsement, but she stopped short. I'm sorry, a glowing recommendation or a glowing review, but stopped short of an endorsement, saying that she didn't know what Biden was going to do at the time. This was back in 2022. She's been on the other side of the fence on this thing, and making a decision about whether to run or not is a very personal thing. She went through it with her husband. So she's not going to put any pressure on Biden to run, number one. Number two, Michelle Obama, since 2016, has her own goals. She has created, from 2015 and 2016, with Malala, an organization helping girls worldwide go to school, because around the world, girls are often discouraged or they're barred from going to school. Malala was shot in the head. Okay. So that right now is her is one of her big things that she's doing. You don't have to run for office to make an impact. And Michelle Obama is making an impact. She's shown no desire to run for office. And RFK Jr.,
I'm going to tell you why they're worried about him.
Yeah.
Because he's going to take votes from Donald Trump, not Joe Biden. That's
Yes.
exactly why. Any guy who is now going to speak at the what's
Moms for Liberty.
The Moms for Liberty Summit, anybody talking about gutting the regulatory agencies for vaccines, okay? Anybody talking that kind of shit is going to take MAGA voters away. That's what they're worried about RFK Jr. about.
Right.
He is not a Democrat, not even close.
But to me, what I want you to get out of this little show is just take everything with a grain of salt. To me, this was kind of a spin piece where Douglas McKinnon, who is a Republican spin doctor and has had security clearance, he has an intelligence background, knows what he's doing, is basically trying to spin this that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have no shot to win. You know, so and you're gonna hear more spin. That's what the Republicans do.
That's all they do.
All they're doing, and they're spinning themselves into a wall and crashing and burning. And we'll talk about that in a little bit when we get back to you guys. But RFK Jr. is not a Democrat. He isn't.
He shouldn't even be looked at in the same political spectrum as Joe Biden. He is not even, I'm going to go take it one step further. RFK Jr. is not even a Kennedy.
Right.
You know,
he has the name.
He stands for, you know, he even misused his deceased uncle's name by saying that he was against vaccines. JFK was not against vaccines under any circumstance. He was a big proponent of public health, actually, and his own children said that. You know, the Kennedys aren't supporting RFK Jr. They're supporting Joe Biden. They've already given him their endorsement. And that man spent more time during COVID misinforming the public, he caused more damage than almost any other COVID denier. He's, you know, just egregious. He really is. A man who recently said, what was the latest thing he said? That Vladimir Putin was well-intentioned in the Ukraine. That's his latest pile of shit that he's spitting.
How would he know that?
Huh?
How would he know that? He's a doctor or whatever he is.
He's not even
a medical doctor.
He's not even a doctor. Vladimir Putin is well-intentioned in the Ukraine, and the United States needs to accept responsibility for the war. It's absolutely ridiculous. Vladimir Putin invaded the Ukraine. Okay? It's as simple as that.
And what gives him, actually, he's not a doctor. What gives him the
lawyer?
Yeah, he's a lawyer, an environmental lawyer. So what gives him? Oh, that's right. He did cases against vaccine companies, correct? Or you know, so so let's see. He's not a doctor. He's a lawyer that makes arguments that can spin it one way or the other. Can you see where I'm going with this?
And by the way, he had some questionable he did some questionable work even as an environmental lawyer. Right. There was at least one documentary that was made that was not based in any reality, quite frankly. And I believe the person who produced that was Rory Kennedy, who was another member of the Kennedy clan. And Rory, in all honesty, has made some good documentaries, but this one must have been made out of loyalty because
Right.
It was questioned. They even questioned why Netflix would air it. So again, he's as MAGA as you get. He is not a Democrat, and the Democratic Party should not give him any credence. The media is not bound to give him any coverage just because he's running for office.
And Biden isn't responding to him, nor should he at the moment.
No,
because that gives him credence.
right.
By the way, does he still have his law license?
I think so.
Okay.
I think he does. I don't
But
know.
he doesn't. But let me reiterate. He's not a doctor, right?
He's not a doctor.
No. He doesn't have a medical license. As far as we know, he has a law license, but his practices have been questioned. And by the way, he's also been barred from YouTube, and I don't know about Twitter. I think Twitter allowed him back on.
They reinstated him.
They reinstated him. Right. Because, Elon Musk lets everybody on.
Right. He also was, he also not only led the charge against COVID, but he is the guy who literally took one case in Australia with the Gardasil vaccine,
right,
and spun it into a, web of all of these kids are going to get cancer from this shot. My kids both had the full round of Gardasil shots. I don't have any regrets over that.
Right.
Again, I'm going to say it. Are there some people who have bad reactions to vaccines? There will always be that possibility, always, because nothing is 100% foolproof. They can't account for every person. But, as he was pontificating on Gardasil, he never managed to tell anybody until it was discovered that he was also sitting in one of the lawyers' chairs for one of the cases that was where he stood to make a ton of money on the Gardasil thing.
Now,
so
one of the latest
things, chaser, is what he is.
One of the latest things when I contracted COVID back in 2021, it was the first time that I got it. I was hospitalized and I was given remdesivir. RFK Jr. is theorizing without any data that remdesivir, not COVID, is killing people, causing organ damage and organ failure. Now, again, he's not a doctor. He's not a research scientist. Where is his data? He is utilizing classic Republican bullshit. He just pulls things out of thin air.
By the way, to impart information, right? You don't have to be a doctor or a scientist.
No, you don't.
You have to cite some kind of
research study or something.
Or science that proves what you're saying. That's what all science is based on, evidence.
And by the way, all of those studies will be tested, vetted, checked for, bias and validity and reliability. Make sure that the test that is run can be run again. Make sure that the results have some similar, are similar in nature. And if they're not, what are the variables? Blah blah blah.
By the way, the inability to replicate studies is what sank Andrew Wakefield.
Right.
They tried to replicate his supposed results with the measles vaccine, with the MMR vaccine, 37 times.
Yep.
Not just in the United States, but in other countries, with no success.
And also, Judy Mikovits, when she was found out, she was altering her own results.
She was altering her own samples.
Our old samples, sorry.
She was actually putting the stuff into the samples.
Right. So all I'm
That's
saying,
science,
guys,
folks. Okay, that's not the way it works.
all I'm saying is vet your information. Know who's writing, especially when they name it an opinion piece. Know who's writing that piece. And if it's a Republican, most of the time, I mean, do I fall into this? I'm going to say this. I'm going to cite Joe Scarborough and another thing, because when you have a Republican torching their own party, to me, that shows validity, because they almost never do that. That's the only time that I really pay attention, is when they torch their own party.
You know who else? The guys from the Bulwark, too.
Yep. The Lincoln Center.
They're more conservative than they are, liberal, but
right.
Just not with this version of the Republican Party. They're not.
Right. The Lincoln Center, Bill Barr.
Right.
And by the way, John Durham. We'll get into that too. The Republican Party presented a star witness, and then once the star witness didn't present the evidence they wanted to present, they were saying that he may be investigated for blockading an investigation. I'll get into that. It's actually pretty brilliant. But all I'm saying is, guys, just vet your sources. And Joe Biden's the nominee. And if he's not the nominee, we'll see what happens. Okay. Right now, he's running. He's alive. He's running. He's viable. He's doing a good job.
He's running. He's doing it. And he's the candidate.
He's a candidate.
Biden-Harris, 2024. 70% of bust, folks. Your democracy depends on it.
52 won't do.
That's right. All right, gang. We'll see you in the big show.
Yep.